the computers. So it's 7:04. I'm calling the meeting to order for February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody who's sitting here in the high school auditorium or online with us. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion to approve the January 24th minutes.
So moved.
Motion made by Paula. Does somebody want a second? Seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor of the minutes, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Excuse me, Lynn,
Yes?
I'm sorry, I did mean to have a comment on the minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What's
I-
your comment
if I
on the
could.
minutes?
Let me find it. Sorry. It had to do with our. You know what? I don't see it now. I'll
Well, if
move on.
it comes to you later on in the meeting, you
It
can
had to
let
do
us
with our
know.
vote on the, I think, on the budget. We had voted on sending out maybe I'm the wrong month. We had voted on sending out a bid spec. I made the comment that it was, the way it was worded, we were actually approving it, and we we're gonna change the wording to show that it was approving it to go out to bid spec. It was for, I think, the
Was it
refrigerator.
for the freezer?
Yeah,
It's on page. On the fifth,
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the, it says page 7 at the, on the,
Right.
to approve the full replacement of both the walk-in cooler and freezer. That was one motion. And the other was to approve the bid from Gengras Ford for the new food services van.
I just wanted it didn't make it clear to me that we were voting on sending it out to bid. That was the total price we wanted to spend. And I recall the original thing we had made it look like it had already been a fait accompli, that we had sent out for bid and we got the price back and we had picked a supplier. And my point was, why have me vote on it if you've done it all? So I thought it was supposed to be reworded so that we were just approving going out for the bid because there was a time.
I think, does anybody have any comment on that? Or else we're gonna have to go back and check what was said in that meeting and come back at the next meeting, perhaps.
I think we're gonna have to go back and
Okay,
re-listen.
is that okay, Mark?
Yep, that's fine.
Would we like to rescind our vote on this until that correction is made, or
No, I would
just-
say go ahead.
we can revisit it next
Yes.
month if you want?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anybody who has signed up for public comment, either online or in person? Seeing or hearing none, we'll go on. I want to note that Katina and Ilda are with us online tonight, so we have 2 board members who aren't sitting at the table with us. But they are here and participating in the meeting. Thank you, and good to see you both. And I'd like to remind folks that next Wednesday, the 21st, we have a special Board of Ed meeting to do our first of 2 budget workshops. The first one is next Wednesday at 7 p.m. here in the auditorium. The second one is on Wednesday, March 6th, here in the auditorium. And I urge all board members to be here in person or online to hear the outline of the proposed budget from the superintendent. And also I urge the public to listen in on that presentation and or come comment during public comment that evening if they have anything they want to say. You'll get a second bite at the apple on March 6th. And I just want to mention to board members that we added a report under committee reports tonight for those of us who have been doing anything with our school that we were designated to be an ambassador to. Tonight, we're asking board members to go around briefly and share any highlight of their ambassador work with their school this year, observations that they have. Just want to remind you all that that's coming up on the agenda. If you haven't thought about it, you have a little bit of time to think about it. Thanks. And now we're on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. First item on my report is the biweekly attendance and discipline data. I don't know if there's any specific questions about that information. We do see, continue to be proud of our schools in terms of their attendance data, particularly those schools that are below the 30%, which is our district target. Windham Middle School, Barrows, North Windham, Natchog, and Windham Center School at the time that this data was pulled were below the 30% district target. And in terms of discipline, we are continuing to work on reducing the number of in-school and out-of-school suspensions. I don't know if there's specific questions.
Mary?
Yeah, I noticed there's pending suspensions or expulsions at the high school, and the numbers are up. I noticed a lot of comments on the surveys, which I haven't finished going through, but mainly with the teachers and the staff, asking things like, what are the students doing in school suspension? Do we need behavior techs? Principals are behind the scenes. There are behavior issues that are not addressed in a consistent manner, and these numbers, you know, are continue to concern me.
Do you want to say
It
anything?
wasn't actually a question. You were just giving comments.
A bunch of observations that, you know, we could also address this from the point of view of things we have gathered from the surveys.
Well, we are going to be asking for, we're going to be talking about the surveys next month. We're going to be going into executive session with the superintendent regarding her mid-year evaluation. And one of the things we've asked board members is to identify the issues that they'd like to address further based on their analysis of the surveys. We're going to be hearing from the superintendent and the administrators on their priorities for action items this year. So it's going to be a continuing conversation.
And I guess my only comment would be that the district leadership team continues to focus on how to reduce the exclusionary discipline practices like in and out of school suspension. We're working on it. We continue to see really acute or intense behaviors in our schools. And I do think we're making progress. If you look at some of the data, you'll notice that there's an increased number of actual behavior incidents and not necessarily a proportionate number of in or out of school suspension. So we'll talk more about that, but it is a focus. It's been a focus. We are aware that we're trying to reduce those numbers.
Does anybody have any, Mark?
Yeah, not specific about the numbers themselves, but with our in-school suspension, especially the numbers I've seen at the high school and the middle school, are we running more than one class for in-school, or do we have enough staff to handle the needs of the in-school suspension?
So we do have enough staff to handle the needs, although there have been requests to potentially look at other ways to potentially support it. Remember, in terms of in-school, you're still able, if you run the program correctly, first of all, students are still in the school, counted for attendance.
Yep.
You have the ability to support them. You have the ability even to provide special education services in some instances, and support them in their academic achievement. So if we have to make a decision between out of school and in school, then we go to the in-school first. That's,
Right.
our ultimate goal. But the rooms are supervised, usually by tutors or paraprofessionals, and occasionally certified staff support in.
I was just concerned with I know we're having a problem getting enough staff to staff all of our programs. So I was mainly concerned that we had enough qualified staff members, because these are obviously a difficult population. That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Katina?
Yes. Hi, good evening, everybody.
We
I
can't hear
think
you.
I have
Can't
mentioned,
hear you, Katina. Is there any way we can turn her up?
oh. Can you hear me now?
Not loudly enough.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we can hear you. Okay.
Okay, thank
ahead.
you. Thank you. I frequently I've been asking to see what are the types of behaviors, what are the incidents, or and how are, number one thing is if the same child is being referred multiple times. So instead of the number of incidents, how many students are actually being referred? Because it could vary, right, from the actual number of incidents. And what are we doing to prevent those behaviors? Do we have any way of categorizing what the behaviors that are most commonly or incidents that are breaking the rules, and can we provide some preventive interventions to avoid those? And I would like to see that at some point. Thank you.
I do believe that we talked about offering a workshop related to discipline where we reviewed the data in detail. I have provided the unique student data reports that identify, like you're saying, the number of specific students involved in the data versus thinking that it's being generated by a larger number. So that is coming. It's one of the things we discussed that will be happening this, I guess, spring, winter or
Yeah,
spring.
Thank you
hopefully,
very much.
hopefully in the not too far future, it's on the list. We have to get through the budget process and a couple of other very pressing issues, but it's near the top of the list.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, next is just to reiterate what you already said about the fact that we have 2 budget workshops coming up. The board members received their budget book on Friday, February 9th, and the information in that budget book and any new information we have will be shared on February 21st and March 6th. Any questions there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really alarmed to hear about a reduction in force.
So we increased the amount of staff members using the ESSER funds, and the ESSER funds are disappearing. So it is impossible for us to carry the same number of staff members. We won't be able to pay for them.
That will be certainly something we'll be talking about when we have our budget discussions as a full board.
Okay, next is just an overview of the policy work that the district continues to work on, our district staff, as well as the policy committee. You'll see a number of policies on tonight's agenda that the board will have an opportunity to vote on. Next up, some good news. I'm pretty sure the board members saw our probably our Facebook post, but certainly our email. We are celebrating Natchog Elementary School. They were named a finalist in the Connecticut Association of Schools Elementary School of the Year. Their acting principal, Ms. Enamite, is here in the audience. So congratulations to Natchog. We're really proud of them. And we learned today that they're coming, the CAS committee is coming on March 6th, Wednesday, March 6th. From the overview that they sent us, they aren't looking specifically for board members to be there, which I thought was maybe a change. So because I was going to extend the invitation to board members, but you're not in the list of people they want to talk to. So if we get any more information about that, we'll let you know, but they're coming on March 6th. So hopefully we know something after that. Congratulations again. Yeah, we can clap. Absolutely. It's a big deal. It's always nice when someone from the outside tells you that you're doing a good job. All right, next is just to let the board know that we had some visitors to North Windham and Windham Middle School on February 6th, and that was for them to check out our dual language programming. The MABE visitors came to the district and were very impressed by a wide variety of things. The feedback they provided highlighted instructional expertise, oral scaffolding, questioning techniques, our students being on task and engaged in the work, student participation, and just overall, they were really good visits, and we're really proud of the dual language programming in both of those buildings. So more good news from the outside. I don't know if there's any specific questions because the EAM director is in the audience if there are. And the board is also privy to the fact that we have renamed the Compañeros program at the middle school. The students chose Compañeros Unidos. Did I say that right? Unidos? Unidos, I appreciate that. The fact that the students were involved in choosing the name is really kind of a neat thing. So we're proud of that. I don't know if there's any specific questions. Just bringing the board up to speed. Oh, did I skip one? Yeah. People empowering people. The Family and Community Engagement Department is taking part in a people empowering people training for our parents and community members. So far, we have 14 parents signed up for the classes, and you have a list of topics that'll be covered in that training. So we're excited to engage the community, the parents and family members in some professional learning or learning. I don't know if there's any questions. And last but not least on my list is Aaron Holden at North Windham School has been awarded a $1,000 grant from the Mohegan Tribe. So the board will have an opportunity to, I think, wait, are you voting on that tonight, or is that? Maybe there's not a vote for that.
Yeah.
It's here. Did I miss it?
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
No, that's actually the high school.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. They don't. So they're not voting on it tonight? Okay. I'll have to check that one. Okay. But we're obviously happy to hear that money is being, sent to the district to support their integration of Indigenous studies in Aaron Holden's classroom. And that's it for my report.
Any questions, comments? Great, thank you. Now we're on to the mid-year accountability updates, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Sure, I'm going to go up to the podium and do the updates from there. But before I do that, I just want to let board members know that we provided you with a binder this year that has a variety of items in it. So before I start presenting, I want to make sure you're aware of what's in the binder. First, there's a copy of the presentation. Behind that are the district's strategic priorities and core strategies for the 23-24 school year. Then you will see a copy of the superintendent's evaluation, as well as a copy of the Board of Education self-evaluation. You will then see the state of the schools document. If you remember back in October, we gave you a draft and asked for your feedback. We've made the adjustments based on that feedback. So there's a copy in there. You will then see a copy of all of the staff emails I've sent out since the school year started. They're prioritized based on our strategic priorities. January's hasn't gone out yet. I'm a few days behind, but it will be going out before the end of this week to celebrate the things that happened in January, but you have all of those to remind you of the things that are happening in the district around the strategic priorities. The presentation I'm going to offer tonight is going to go through basically where we are in terms of our goals and targets for the year. So you're going to see benchmarking data. You're going to see just a basic update on each of the items on our strategic priorities. It's a lot of information. Obviously, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions or request additional information. For me, I'm just giving you the information so that when we get to the next board meeting on February 28th, you have at least some semblance of the topics that are going to be addressed in terms of providing feedback as part of my evaluation and part of our district, how our district is doing in terms of its progress. There we go. Can you hear me now? Okay. So our goals are to bring the board up to speed in terms of where we are mid-year and start the conversation so that you are prepared to offer feedback in executive session on February 28th. Okay. As you remember, back in October at the board retreat, we made sure that everyone understood that we were going to be gauging our progress around the strategic priorities and core strategies and the accountability index. And if you remember from our board retreat, we went over all of the district performance data and school performance indexes. There's also a variety of district documents that are put together to sort of help keep us on track. Each school and department has an improvement plan. You have a copy of the State of the Schools document. The district strategic plan can be found on our website if you're looking for a copy of it. And obviously, you just received on Friday your budget book, and we produce one of those annually. So these are sort of the places where we're keeping track in terms of accountability, transparency, and overall communication of the district's goals. Again, board retreat is one of the places where we work on that communication. The Board of Education, I'm proud to say, has a variety of working committees, personnel, finance and audit, school planning and design, curriculum and policy, all of which are working hard to move the district's agenda forward. Obviously, these meetings are part of our communication and you being kept up to speed on where the district is. This year, we put 2 new things in place, the board ambassadors, which you'll have a chance to report out on, and also the What's Cool About Our School, which is allowing each of our schools to come to the board meetings and sort of showcase the things that they're proud of. So all of this is connected back to the work that we're doing. Same leadership philosophy as I've shared in the past, looking to support sustainable change through a model that shares leadership and is focused on collaboration. Some examples of that, moving to a place where at convocation, for example, all of our bargaining units are given a chance to speak. We continue to have monthly proactive meetings to try to maximize communication and reduce the number of issues that could come about. We have a professional development committee, and we are also going to have, or we'll be putting our professional development and evaluation committee through some professional development coming up soon. We have a district survey committee. We have a district safety committee. And just recently, we have completed all of our mid-year accountability meetings with all of our schools and departments. And I always encourage departments, I encourage there to be more people at those meetings than just building principals or just department leaders, sort of making sure we're sharing the wealth and sharing the leadership and that everyone's on board for how to move the district forward. Tonight, we're just going to quickly review the district accountability. Again, it's a ton of information. The benchmark data, which includes our K-8 iReady data in reading and math, and Windham High School's PSAT. All right, so the chart on the screen, a little dizzying in terms of the numbers. But you'll see on the far left is the state targets where they would like to see, or the maximum number of points you can earn in any of those categories. And then you'll see 21-22 data, 22-23 data, and our targets for this year. We won't get the actual data on this year's targets until the fall of 2024, which is what we shared with you at the board retreat. But those are our targets. And we have worked to get the leadership team to identify their improvement work around the accountability index. So I think one of the things that I celebrated the leadership team on Friday was that all of my principals came to our accountability meetings prepared to have conversations about their accountability index. And I was really proud of that. I think the district has embraced this idea of measuring our progress based on the state's measures. And once again, here are the targets by school for this year, as well as the actual data for previous years. All right, the iReady district-wide K-8 data. So we just look at all of our students together in this particular data set, and we are comparing winter of last year, basically the benchmark in January of last year, and the benchmark last month, 23-24. So we have a 1% increase in reading, so meaning that there's 1% more students on grade level than there were last year at the same time. And in math, we have a 3% increase. 1% is approximately 24 students. I am happy that we're moving in the right direction. I would like to see the numbers moving faster than they are, but I'm obviously happy that we're holding our own and moving forward. Some notable increases as listed there. Grades kindergarten, first, sixth, and eighth grade. We have some concerns in grades 3, 4, and 7 that we are addressing. And in math, notable increases in grades 6 and 8, and again, a concern in grade 7 that we are addressing. Then each school in the next few slides gives you their fall benchmark data and their winter benchmark data and the targets we've established. We looked back and had discussions in our accountability meetings with each school about where they were last winter as compared to this winter as well. So we're keeping track of how they're doing from fall to winter, as well as how they're doing compared to last year, and looking at a cohort analysis as well. So I don't know if there's any questions so far. So obviously this is North Windham's K-5 data. And again, it's a lot of information. And then we have Natchog next, same setup,
Lynn?
reading and math.
Sorry.
Yeah.
On North Wyndham, there's some significant increases. Have we identified what they're doing so well that grade 1 in the math went from 3% or 7%. Yeah, 3 to 7. They went from 5% to 16 in grade 2. Do we have identified how they're making these traces?
Well, in math, we are still 2 years into the Eureka math curriculum. So it is possible that it's a result of, curriculum implementation, and, obviously achievement's always the result of instruction. I don't have the specific answer.
I'm just assuming when we look for reasons why they're low, we also look for reasons why they're high, so we can duplicate those in other systems.
Absolutely, absolutely. We do an analysis of all of our classrooms and how the teachers perform, how their students perform. And that information is actually shared with the leadership team at the end of the school year, where they go through to see which teachers had a significant impact on student achievement and where we need to grow. Absolutely. Any other questions there? So the Natchog Schools data is there as well. Anything stand out or? Sweeney School. Windham Center School. And again, we could go through these pieces, but I know it's an enormous amount of information. Just know that we're tracking the data carefully. And our ultimate goal is for every one of our students to make their growth target, and that we obviously increase at or above grade level across the board. Here's our middle school data. The Barrows data. And between now and the next time we meet on February 28th, if there's specific questions you'd like us to dig into, please feel free to either ask tonight or email me and we'll get you the information.
I
Next-
just want to like
Mhm.
re-emphasize that,
Yeah,
because this is the first time we're looking at this evening, that we got this book. And it's really on us as board members to look at this in more detail and come on the 28th with questions. And in reality, it would be even better if we could have questions before the 28th so that Dr.
Yeah, if you want
Youngberg could be
specific-
prepared to delve into certain things when we
Right.
talk.
if you want me to give you specific answers, it would be great to have it in advance so I can present it on the 28th. Sure. Next up is information about the PSAT. The fall administration of the PSAT is actually a brand new assessment. It's not the SAT or the PSAT that you may be accustomed to. So we're noticing a drop in our scores. The state has also dropped. But obviously, we can't be worried about the state. We're worried about our students here in Windham, but we are still exploring that because it was the first time they took the new assessment.
Can you explain a little bit more about what's different about this?
Well, one of the biggest differences is the reading passages are much shorter in nature than they were in the past. That's one of the biggest differences. And I know there's some changes to the way the math is assessed, but the biggest, I think, is the literacy changes. Yeah, in that there's less to read. Yeah, shorter passages. They've shortened up what the students are asked to read. There's still some pretty tough questions being asked of it, but that's the most noticeable difference is the amount of text they're digesting. Oh, that's right. And they're all done online and not in paper and pencil. So that's another, you're right. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate that. So it's a different PSAT or SAT than any of us would be accustomed to. Next up, we're going to share some information related to the chronic absenteeism rate and our daily attendance rate. You can see in the top chart there, the last attendance rates that we had for the week start January 15th through February 2nd. We're still working on the next 2-week phase right now. And then where we were year-to-date attendance rates, we want all of our schools to be above or to reach 90 or better. So we're doing fairly well there. We continue to focus on partnering with our families to improve student attendance and ongoing focus at the school level on school culture and climate, and basically setting up more opportunities for our kids to want to come to school. Here is our chronic absenteeism rates for the last 3 years, each February. Obviously, we're only mid-February at this point, so our current data is not an entire month's worth. But you can see that the district is moving in the right direction, trying to reduce those numbers. Obviously, the more often our kids are in their seats in the classrooms, the more likely we are to hit the academic achievement goals. So we're focused on this quite heavily as a district. Then I'm just going to quickly go through our district strategic priorities. You have, as I mentioned before I came up here, you have the monthly celebrations we've sent out to the staff members in your binder. We're also going to use this little visual check-in. A green check means that the priority is on target as planned. An orange check means that we could be on target, but we need additional time or focus to actually get there, or there's still work to be done. It's possible that you get an orange check because we haven't met a goal yet, and the plan is to get it done this spring. And then you're going to see one area that is not on target, which I'll explain when we get there. We'll go from there. So priority 1 is student learning. Currently, all of our core strategies are on target, and you can see them listed there on the screen. We are focused on these things across the board and continue to work hard every day to improve ELA and math and science achievement, to work on student conferencing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. All of these things will be mentioned in the next slide, where I'll provide some highlights and some focus areas or next steps. So one of the things, or some of the things I want the board to know about is Windham High School actually went through and did student-led conferences. So the students at the high school presented their data to their parents. It was a very well-received student-led conference. So really trying to put them in the driver's seat in terms of their learning. We have, as a district, a renewed focus on science instruction and making sure things are aligned to our NGSS standards. And at the high school, they're focusing or have a focus right now on the capstone projects, which they've tied back to the portrait of the graduate. I want to celebrate the fact that our acting principal, who's here this evening, is meeting with all of the students in grades 3 to 5 in individual meetings to help support their focus on SBAC. We are also listening carefully to the elementary staff around foundational literacy skills in the American Reading Company program. We chose the foundational literacy skills in the ARC program for this year, but we've gotten a lot of feedback that says we may need to do more. So we're listening to the staff on that. Some of the things we still need to flush out is the Horizon benchmarking system at the high school. We've had some struggles with them not providing very good customer service and had some strange things happen in one of our administrations of the benchmarking system a month or two back. So we're working on whether or not that's going to be something we keep moving forward. And we are obviously trying to align instruction to the new SAT requirements because that is the new assessment that the state is measuring our progress by. So we're trying to make those adjustments. Priority 2 is staff learning and staff capacity. All of those core strategies are on target, as you can see there. And on the next slide, I'll give you some highlights and some focus areas. We continue to rely on the District Professional Development Committee, which has staff members from a variety of bargaining units who are basically offering, feedback on what we can provide to make the professional development days more effective. We have offered multiple aligned PDs since August, and we have another professional development day coming up on March 1st. We continue to utilize in-house experts in terms of science. We have a couple pilots going on right now at the elementary and high school levels supporting science. We had formal walkthroughs in the fall. We went to 8 of our 9 schools, and detailed feedback was provided to the building leaders to share with staff. Board members, if you're interested, we are doing our mid-year walkthroughs on February 26th, 28th, and 29th. I haven't ironed out those schedules yet, but I will send an invite if anyone's interested in coming in to see the classrooms in action. Dr. Betty Oska will be with us on those days as we go to. I think we're going to get to 6 schools this time around. We continue to utilize the district parent advisory group, and they will be doing more work in welcoming schools in the spring of 2024. We are working right now on trying to maximize the Windham Middle School's literacy blocks. And we are also going to extend the inner orbit pilot to Windham Middle School, which is a pilot that's focused on science and NGSS standards. So those are our next focus areas. Priority 3 is partners as resources. Almost all of those core strategies are on target. You'll notice the orange check at the end there. One of the things we hope to get to before this school year ends is providing the community with information about the elementary consolidation. We've been in sort of a strange place right now because there's not a lot of information to provide to them just yet. So it's in orange because I believe we still can hit the target, but we haven't really tackled it yet as we're working sort of behind the scenes on trying to figure out what's next with that plan. Again, our chronic absenteeism data is looking good district-wide. We did complete an elementary ed spec in the fall, and we had multiple contributors, staff members, administrators, and directors, or I guess they're the same. We have now a monthly school planning and design meeting scheduled to have the discussions about the elementary consolidation plan. Parent community university topics were actually chosen by the district parent advisory group. And you know that we gave a survey in January of 2024. Windham High School continues to need to reduce their chronic absenteeism rates. We are working on that. Parent and Community University, although we're proud that we got it back up and running after COVID, we know we need to improve its attendance. And obviously, we need to get the elementary consolidation information out to the community. Priority 4 is learning environment. We have 2 of the 4 core strategies on target. You'll notice that there's 2 orange checks there. We are definitely working hard on both of these, but we need more time. It's an ongoing conversation. I think we're relying more on data and understanding where we fit in the bigger picture, but we have a lot of work still to do on those. We have continue with the District Safety Committee monthly meetings. In fact, I have to figure out, I think there may be a meeting coming up. I believe this month there's one more virtual meeting. We have made some pretty significant school safety purchases using our ESSER funds. We'll be bringing the board up to speed on those things shortly, some of which you're already aware of. We definitely have a stronger partnership with the Willimantic Police Department. Ongoing support from them. It's been wonderful. We have to reschedule the run, hide, fight training that they were supposed to offer at our last professional development. Unfortunately, they had an emergency in the nighttime, and their officers were up all night and they weren't able to provide the professional development the next morning. So we're working on getting that rescheduled. We've increased student voice and choice. The middle school, they have a variety of clubs, some of which were actually proposed by students. They have student leaders. The high school has started the Windham High School Peer Mediators program. We have student leaders in a variety of elementary schools, including North Windham. I mentioned the Run, Hide, Fight training being rescheduled for the paraprofessionals and the new staff. The District Safety Committee is actually going to come and present to the board at some point this spring. And we are working hard to make sure the SEL work the district has done is directly linked to reducing the exclusionary practices or in or out of school suspension. Priority 5 is effective operations. 2 of the 4 core strategies are on target. You'll notice there that one of the things that we continue to talk about related to the elementary consolidation is this idea of a 3 to 5 year facilities maintenance plan. It's sort of hard to predict how we want to spend money on keeping those buildings up if we're not sure we're going to be in those buildings. So we'll have to talk more about this at school planning and design, but we're in a funny place right now. We could give you the list of things, but we're regularly saying, do we really want to ask to spend that if we know? So it's one of those things. The one thing that you'll see the red X on that we are not on target for is the formal needs assessment for math and science, pre-K to 12. The reason why we're not on target with that is it's a pretty costly expenditure. It's usually around $100,000 to bring someone in to do a needs assessment for you. And it could be $100,000 just for one of the subject areas. I'm not sure if we can hire someone to do it, a combined effort. But right now, I'm not sure it's the best use of our money. We have a new math program and we have sort of an invigorated focus on science. So we might want to hold off on that. And that's why I haven't moved forward with conducting a needs assessment. And we'll talk more about that as the year moves on. And the state of the schools document you already have in your binder. All of that information there I have shared with you. One of the things I can tell you that I'm happy about is the finance and facilities departments are really working hard together in support of the facilities budgets and making sure that department is strong. It is one of the departments that spends an enormous amount of money and has a direct impact on our learning environment. So it's really important that that department be functioning really well. And right now it's in good shape. So happy about that. And priority 6, diversity as a strength. Well, they're all basically on target. You'll notice there's one orange check at the end because we haven't gotten to that place where we're able to develop that district equity plan. Obviously, we have ongoing recruitment efforts that the Personnel Committee is aware of from Human Resources and Equity and Multilingual. The State of the Schools document has specific information related to our staff diversity numbers. The EME department has come up with some new infographics to share those facts as well. We are on target for our seal of biliteracy, and the number is growing each year, so we're exactly where we need to be. We just completed our 5th of 6 trainings for Courageous Conversations. And that team that's in a part of that training is going to be a part of the development of the district equity plan. And the State Department of Education is expecting the district to put out a plan, an increasing educator diversity plan due in March. So the board will see that either at next board meeting or the first one in March, depending on how quickly we wrap that up. It does need board approval. We just learned about this, so we're going to get that to the board for you to see. And then just to let the board know, each of the building leaders, in terms of the district survey, identified 2 to 3 focus areas from the surveys. They have developed action plans to address those 2 to 3 focus areas. The district survey committee is reconvening on March 7th. They have the agenda that's listed on the board there. They're going to process through the remaining survey data that we didn't get to the first time. We are going to have a discussion about how the district is going to respond, including the departments. The school responses an overview of the school responses and what their focus areas are going to be addressed. We're going to have the committee weigh in on probably 5 to 7 survey questions for students, staff, and families. Like, what are the most important questions we want to ask those 3 groups? And then the committee has already suggested that we try to have a district managed survey in the future that's anonymous. So we'll talk more about that. And now I know it's, I have a committee that's working on this, and the committee is made up of a variety of staff members from bargaining units and non-affiliated staff. But I know the survey was a board directive, so we'll have to figure out how to interface that to get their feedback, but also to make sure the board's on board. So more to come on the district survey, but we are addressing the information that we've received. And last but not least, any specific questions or comments or the request for additional information. Again, if you don't have it ready tonight because it's an enormous amount of information, then please email me between now and the next board meeting.
Thank you for the report. It is a lot to take in. Does anybody have any initial comments, questions, requests? Mary?
Just a clarification, did you say you are, it says a couple of times in here about the student and staff satisfaction survey in both fall and spring. So you are doing that a second time with Panorama?
Actually, I would prefer not to, like I mentioned it when we presented the data, because it is such an enormous amount of data. I'd prefer not to do another administration of the survey. We could, if the board wants to go down that path, we could try to identify, and I can work on this with the committee, what might be a few questions we could ask as follow-up. But I don't think we can put another survey out. It was an enormous amount of work. And it was really a struggle getting people to answer the survey. So I don't know if they're going to do it again.
So would we get money back, or, I mean, is it paid for to do it twice a year?
I think you can actually administer the survey as often as you want. The problem is that there's not a lot of support after you administer the survey. It's on us to do the backup. Is that correct, Holly? You could administer as often as you want based on the contract? That's what I thought. Thank you.
Thanks. That's something we should discuss. I
Yes.
think I would like to see that personally, speaking for myself, I would like to see the recommendations from the committee for the board then to have a more informed discussion about what we
Sure.
want to do with
So
that.
that's March 7th. So then that would come back to the board after that, some point in March.
Anything else? Okay, do we want to set a date by which people should get you any written questions or?
As long as it gets to me a couple days before the board meeting, I'm okay with trying to put together the information.
So the next
maybe that
board meeting
Friday?
is the 28th, right?
The Friday before would be great.
Yeah.
Monday
which
morning.
is the 22nd, I think.
I believe it's the 23rd.
23rd, March
Yeah.
23rd.
Yeah.
I mean, February 23rd.
February 23rd. Right, even that Monday morning would work, but after that, it gets a little tricky to try to pull
It's too
things
hard,
together. Yeah.
right? Thanks. let you get back to your seat. The next item on the agenda is the integrated pest management plan, which was riveting reading.
Yeah, you like that? So I'll give the board a little background on this, and Mary's familiar because she's a member of our building committee, Renovate's new building committee. Many districts have, or I should say, all districts have a policy that is aligned to the state recommendations or regulations around pest management. Our district didn't have a formal integrated pest management plan, but we had a process that was aligned to our policy. In the Renovate's new documentation, we learned that without a plan, they couldn't go forward with actually seeding the new fields. They needed to have a formal plan. So the district, when we realized where we were, contracted with Mr. Ian from Tom Irwin Advisors, and he helped our facilities director to develop this plan. So there's a K-8 plan and a high school plan. So now we meet the requirements for the high school project, and we have all the other campuses encompassed in the K-8 plan. So it is riveting reading, lots of new information, things that I have very little background knowledge on, but it's up for discussion tonight. So I don't know if there's any other information.
Anybody, Mary?
Yeah, just the first question before I have another one about the policy, but is, so did we pay to have this done? So what was the contract?
Yes, we did. The contract is here and I'm sorry, $2,520.
So when I read our policy, because when it first came up on the high school committee, we did approve this and it has been a state regulations, this particular version of it since 2016. But it is not clear when we approved it right now on the website, the policy that's on the website. But it does say that we will implement an integrated pest management plan. So I am surprised and troubled that we have not had one. And how have we been applying things? How have we been keeping records? How have we been notifying parents when there are things? So, you know, all of this is required by law, and we did not have this through our facilities or.
No, we actually did have communication related to this, and we did have a process in place aligned to our policy, the previous policy you're talking about. I don't know the date the new Shipman and Goodwin model policy was adopted.
Well, it was adopted, but so I can get records on where things.
What I've been told is, what I've been told by our acting director of facilities, and obviously I'm responsible as the superintendent, but I'm not out, you know, putting down pest management. But I've been told by our acting director of facilities that there are several districts, including the one he came from, that use the policy to manage how they're rolling out this information. So when I learned that we had to have the formal plan in place, we got the plan in place.
Well, it just seems very clear from this document, which is why when they first said we can't do this thing at the high school because there's no pest management plan. And I said, well, here we do have a policy. And they said, no, that is not the same thing.
So that happened in January, and we have a plan in February. We took care of it right away. As soon as it was brought to my attention, it was taken care of.
Yeah, but it may have been something that delayed things that was happening last summer. So, I mean, it's just like, when I saw we did have a policy, I thought, well, how could this possibly be delayed? I'm just approving a policy, but then not executing it is to me a problem.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you. Now we're on to policy revisions for the first reading, and I don't know whether Katina's here with us.
Yes, I am.
Okay, Katina,
I
do you
had
want to
a-
talk about this? Thanks.
Well, I had a family medical emergency, so Brandon was gracious enough to substitute for me last meeting. So Brandon,
Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks. Let me try to remember the two that came up for first reading. These were ones that were included in the policy revision, but weren't straight up model policies from Shipman and Goodwin. So we took the existing policy and made some tweaks to them, which are here for you to review. I think for the most part, there weren't any substantial changes to any of them. It was mostly cleaning up language and that sort of thing. But if you have any questions, feel free to let us know, and it'll come up at the next board meeting for formal approval. But these, since we're not following an actual model policy from Shipman and Goodwin, we wanted to put them up for first reading so everyone had a chance to review them.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions this evening, or do you want, we also have another chance to talk about it when we actually take action at our next meeting? Mark, looks like you had something?
Yeah, I'm wondering, I wonder if we can have the change in language highlighted in some way so I know what we changed. You said there was just minor changes in the language. Am I missing it?
Holly, isn't the red line available in the SharePoint folder? So I think
That's on-
Would you like a redlined version shared with you, Mark,
Is it on the
before we
website, you
vote
said?
next week?
It's on the shared folder that we provided to all the board members.
I'll check there. Thank you.
So you'll get a chance to review that
Yep.
then before our next
Thank you.
meeting, before we take action. Anybody else?
Hmm.
Okay. Not hearing or seeing anything. We'll move on to committee reports. Okay. Policy Committee, Katina, are you reporting or is Brendan reporting?
Brandon is reporting
Thank
about
you.
our last meeting. Thank you.
all right. Let me just look through here. Most of what we discussed was actually discussed in here or is on our here later in our action items. There's a number of policies for repeal, either due to model policies previously being adopted, and there's a number of policies for repeal and replacement with a Shipman and Goodwin model policy. Any questions on those?
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Brendan. Now we're on to school planning and design.
I guess I'm up again. Since our last board meeting, we met again on February 1st, a special meeting that was School Planning and Design Committee, along with members of the Town Board of Finance, the Town Finance Director, the town, I can't remember what Matt's title is, Matt Vertifay, as well as Mayor DeVivo. And I don't see it on here, but wasn't Jim Rivers there?
Jim Rivers is there and Mary Ann Daly from the Board of Finance was there.
Yep.
And then a number of board members. I think
Correct.
there were 5 of us there.
Yes, there were 5 of us there. We had a discussion about the state's guidance, about forming a committee of some sort to start the building project, as well as discussion about the next necessary items to build out the timeline so that we can make sure we get the elementary consolidation question on the November 2024 ballot.
Any questions? We are planning on having a board discussion about this at one of our upcoming meetings. So we can consider taking board action on setting up a planning committee, not a building committee, but a planning committee. And that should be coming up soon. Hearing or seeing nothing else, we'll move on to finance and audit. Mark?
Thank you. We met prior to tonight's meeting. We reviewed the use of the ESSER funds and the use of the what's left of the ESSER funds so we can spend them before, get approval from the state and spend them before the end of the year. We reviewed briefly our purchasing policy as to what constitutes when the board needs to be required to approve and then when or if it gets put out to bid. We went over the year-to-date financials. We look to be in good shape, but we're going to end up, I believe, in the black this year. And then we also reviewed the budget transfers, and the committee is going to recommend approval of $156,859 in budget transfers this month.
Any questions for Mark? Mary?
Do we need an action item or do we add that or?
There is an action item. It's at the end of action items, and it's actually, should be number
I see it.
F,
Number 9.
approval of budget transfers. Yeah, yeah, it shouldn't be under E9, it should be just F, approval of budget transfers. Thanks, Mary. Any questions other than that? Paula, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you got in touch with me earlier today about something related to the work of the Personnel Committee, right? No? I thought you texted me about something today.
Oh, I had asked you a question
Yeah.
about the timeline.
Right.
relative to
Is
the
there anything you
Personnel
want to say
Committee.
about the timeline since we're on committee reports?
No, I think that I had just wanted some clarification on the timeline in terms of getting our information to you, if that's how you want to proceed in preparation for the February 28th meeting. Or if we should just simply, as individuals, have our information prepared at that point, so we
Yeah.
would be ready for discussion.
I
on the
think if we're going to
28th.
go into executive session with the superintendent to talk about mid-year evaluation on the 28th, that everybody on the board should be prepared.
Okay,
And I urge you to reach out to me individually if there's something specific you really want to make sure we prioritize addressing in that
Okay. No, that
conversation.
was
Does
my
that make
question.
sense to
Mhm.
folks? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I got a little confused, but so now we're on to board ambassador reports, and I think we should just go around the table. And we also have, is Ilda and Katina both online?
I am.
Okay, Katina, do you want to start with your
Oh, yes.
ambassador report?
I would love to. I have been well received at Windham Middle School, and I am excited to share with everybody some of the programming that they are having with students that is very creative. For example, the 8th grade recently had what is called a book tasting, and they decorated the library and also played jazz music. The library as if it was a restaurant, because they were starting the new reading unit. And the students were able to kind of go and taste the books that they were going to be reading and choosing to make reports, etc. And another fun thing is in 6th grade, pretty soon they are going to have on the 28th, which is parent night, the 6th grade, to attract parents and students, is having a candy bar and a bingo night. So to make it more engaging and fun for both students and parents. Of a note is, and Dr. Youngberg just mentioned it in her report of the initiatives, is that the voice of the students is being heard. Therefore, they have come up with a beautiful after-school clubs. One is a fiber club, a game club, the drama club, besides academic ones. So it's engaging the students also with sports, like the wrestling team had their annual tournament there at the middle school. And now parents, listen up, basketball tryouts are coming up. So for all those kids who are motivated to play sports and prepare for high school. So I'm excited to report all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Katina. Ilda, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. However, I have to say that I am not as prepared as Katina. But
Well, listen, you don't have to have any qualifiers. You can just share any one or two highlights of your experience as ambassador, and make sure you share which school.
yes, I have a few. Good evening, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. I am the proud ambassador for North Windham School, and I have, for those of you who know me, I have a long time fondness for North Windham, and Principal Amy Majik was so excited when she heard that I was the ambassador. She immediately sent me an invitation back in October to their Hispanic Heritage celebration on October 13th, and that was fabulous. It was well received with parents and the students. The students and the staff put on a fabulous show, and they had awesome food, of course. And then, since then, I've introduced Amy to Dr. McCarter from the Pomfret School. They do an event, I think it's April 25th. It's called Day of Giving for the Pomfret High School. And I believe what the kids are going to do, the high school students might come to North Windham School and read to the kids. I'm not sure. And I've reached out to Amy to let her know that I'm available if she needs anything. And that's about it. That's all I have for now.
Thank you,
Thank
Ilda.
you.
How about you, Alicia?
I'm the ambassador for the Windham Preschool. And we had a plan to visit the new school here. It was a tour, but they have to cancel because Aliki, the principal, was sick and she couldn't come last Friday. And the teachers, all the teachers at the preschool are so excited when they saw me that I was the ambassador, because knowing that I worked there for so many years. So we've been trying to, Nusi has been trying to tell Aliki, every time that you have something, you have to remember to call Alicia and talk to her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brendan?
So I am the ambassador for Windham Center School and for those of you who don't know, I have a 4th and a 5th grader at the school. So I am constantly there anyway, but they did invite me to a Veterans Day celebration, which unfortunately I wasn't able to make. They had their holiday celebration. They invited me and I got to see how they decorated the school with all the hallways with holiday decorations and lights and that sort of stuff. And all the children were allowed to bring in, wear pajamas that day, which was kind of cool. And the other thing I got to see recently was they had an after-school 5th grade social for the 2 5th grade classrooms where they just kind of, had a supervised playtime for the 5th graders after school in the gym with karaoke and some arts and crafts projects and stuff like that, which my 5th grader absolutely loved. So, there's a lot of fun stuff going on at Windham Center.
Thanks. I'm the ambassador to the Phoenix Academy. And for me, a person who went to an alternative high school back in the 70s, it is very meaningful to see the way in which that school is developing its chops and its personality, and the way in which the students and the parents are engaging. We did see when they came and talked about what's cool about our school. I guess I've done 2 visits there so far. I would say the highlight was this past month when they had graduation for their first student. It was very unique to go to a school and have a graduation for one student. But she is paving the way for future graduates and an inspiration for those graduates. And I can't tell you how special the event was and how meaningful it was for her and her parents, Michelle and her parents and family. And I don't know, it just like almost brought tears to my eyes. What is going on there is very, very special. And I think we're most fortunate to be cultivating that kind of program for the kids who just aren't fitting in and able to make it in a more traditional school setting. I think it could be a model for the future for more kids. And I'm going to hand it over to Mary.
Yes, I am the ambassador to Windham High School. And I have only had one visit, which I think was in December, partly due to scheduling, but it was great. And I got to see the culinary kitchen and have a tour, visit an English class, which was very exciting for me. And I don't think there were other classes I, visited that day. I would really love to see the new science labs. I did see the media, like digital lab and things like that. So it was a wonderful visit. And I heard about some students who wanted to maybe represent the school to the Board of Ed. So I look forward to that as well.
Thanks, Mary. Paula?
Yes, I am fortunate to be the ambassador to Natchog School, which has always been near and dear to my heart. And my first visit was at the very beginning of the year when they had that wonderful celebration. And it was just amazing. And it did indeed bring tears to my eyes. And I got to meet a lot of folks. One of the family liaison that I had never met before. It was an incredible celebration. And it was just so characteristic of Natchog and Natchog's ongoing ability to communicate with their community, to really endear the families, involve the families. And it's a marvelous school. And Principal Inamite has done an amazing job. I apologize for all the wonderful invitations you've sent to me that I wasn't able to attend, and I'm going to be better at it, I promise. But you did send me the application for the elementary school of the year, and it was amazing. I knew that they were going to be a finalist, and I'm confident they're winning because it was amazing. The amount of information, the categories, and so well done. So congratulations.
Thanks. And Mark, we're on to you.
Well, I'm the ambassador for Burroughs School, which I actually have not visited yet. I've communicated with the staff and I'll be going out for their science fair. But in the meantime, I have stuck my way into Brendan School, into the Windham Center. After our What's Cool with Our School presentation here, and the students gave us all letters, I managed to write back to my student, which is now turned into my pen pal. Wrote back to him and he invited me out to visit the school. So I went out there and I witnessed one of their all school assemblies, which was extremely well run for a gym full of K through fifth graders. It was very well run. In fact, I suggested that we bring the principal to our next board retreat so she can run some activities for us. And also, yeah, that's right. And I also, my little pen pal Giovanni happens to be a chess fanatic, so I was able to play a game of chess with him, and he beat me, and he proceeded to tell the entire school that for the whole entire day. But it's been a rewarding experience dealing with that. They're doing a marketing job out there.
Wonderful. And We're missing Dionisi tonight, who got called into work at the last minute, but she's the ambassador to Sweeney, and hopefully at one of the future meetings, we'll get a chance to hear from her. So with that, we're on to action items. And the first action item on the agenda is acceptance of a $1,000 donation to the Windham High School boys basketball. The description of that was in your packet. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Brendan,
Second.
seconded by Alicia. Okay. Any questions? Discussion? No? All those in favor of the motion on the floor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. The next is approval of a field trip, Windham High School to New York City on May 10th, 2024. I want to go on that field trip. When I read the itinerary, it's exhausting, actually, what they're jamming into one day. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Alicia. Is there a second?
Second,
Sec-
Hilda.
Second by Ilda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Now we have approval of the integrated pest management plan, which can't be done too soon.
So moved.
Motion made by Katina. Do I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Paula. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous. And then I would entertain a motion on policies for repeal, which is item D under action items numbers 1 through 7.
So moved.
Motion made by Katina,
Second, Hilda.
seconded by Brendan. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Okay, and then I would entertain a motion for repeal and replacement of policies, which is item E, numbers 1 through 8.
So moved.
Motion made by Alicia. Do I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brendan.
Mhm.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. And then the final action item is number F, approval of budget transfers of $156,859.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark. Do I get a
Second.
second? Ooh, I don't know who. I think I heard Ilda first, but so we'll go with Ilda. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Last item on the agenda, is there any public comment this evening? Hearing or seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:23.
I move, we move.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
You too.
Thank you.